Hello, everybody, and welcome to Draft Theory, a brand new video series where I talk about just what it sounds like, draft theory. I'm going to be covering one draft theory per video, and if you do enjoy it, remember to hit that thumbs up button and let me know in the comments, and also subscribe so you catch future episodes and more draft content on the channel. Without further ado, let's dive into today's draft theory, a really spicy one that I stumbled across while watching Ryan Sachs' Twitch stream. I did want to give him a little bit of a shout out here because this is where I got the idea for the video, basically using this concept, and I thought it really warranted sharing with all of you, so check it out. Ryan Sachs is a great player. The idea is, can picking a gold card leave you more open during the draft portion? So conventional theory is that if you take a monocolored card, you have all sorts of options. You can pair it with any of the other four colors, and therefore the monocolored card is more flexible than the gold card or the two-colored card. So for example, a white card would be more flexible than a white-green card. However, as the draft goes on, this can potentially change because of the signals that you are sending to your neighbor. So in this example, he was saying that if you are about 4 picks or so into the draft and you've got 4 good white cards, and 5th pick, you have the option between a strong white-green card and another white card that's like solid but not as good. He said that taking the white-green card every single time, he's going to take the white-green card every single time because that can actually leave you more open, which is why I wanted to explore this topic, because that's an interesting idea and the logic for it is very sound. Because if you pass the white-green card, you are sending the signal that white-green is more open to your neighbor, and therefore you are closing off that lane more so than you would have if you just passed them a white card, when in reality they probably are not playing white. Whereas if they are playing green, they might see this light green white card and start moving in to cut you off behind you, which then leaves you less flexible over the course of the draft. So it's the idea that by passing a card, the future options available to you have gotten a little bit smaller, because the person is more like even if they're not going to be in a white deck, they have a higher percent chance of ending up in a white-green deck specifically, which can still close off your options. So during the draft, you start out with all of your options available to you, and as you narrow in on your colors, your options become less and less open. You have fewer and fewer options because you have to eventually pick a lane and commit to your deck. And if you have gotten to know that you're playing a white deck, so you've 4 picks and you know you're playing white, and then all of a sudden you make the person next to you more likely to play green-white, you've kind of cut out one of your pillars, and so all of a sudden, instead of being able to play all 4 colors, you are now probably still able to play all 4 colors, but you're less likely to be able to play the green-white deck in this case. So you kind of cut out one of your pillars unnecessarily, when the person next to you is probably not going to play white because you're playing white, and you've taken all the good white cards so far. So it's much less likely that they're going to be able to take the white card and cut in under you, rather than take the strong flyer on the very powerful green-white card, because if they're playing green, maybe they're in the same boat, but they know they're playing green, and then they could maybe start poaching you in green-white. So I thought it was really interesting theory. Now, there is the argument against this, where caring about what you pass to the person next to you is always something that is something that's hard to tell whether or not that's worth doing, because the person next to you has so many different decision points. You don't know what rare they opened, you don't know how they evaluate cards, you don't know if they have a certain archetype that they really like. So it's really hard to be well, I passed them a good green white card and therefore they're going to play green white, but maybe it'll get to the person next to it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about. So I wanted to share with all of you. So because obviously the conventional idea is that you take the white card and it's not even close because you just want to be monocolored as long as possible, but this was just something interesting that I figured I would try out to see how it felt in my own draft, and so I wanted to share it with all of you. I thought it was a really interesting theory for draft. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments section down below. I'll give another explanation of it just in case it's still confusing to you. Essentially, instead of continuing to stay monocolored later in the draft, so early on in the draft, it's still take the monocolored card, but after pick 4 or something like that, or 3 or 4, if you are solidly in one color, taking a gold card all of a sudden keeps your options more open, because that lane, that specific gold combination, is more likely to be open for you in the future if you don't pass the gold cards for it. Another way to think about this is sometimes you'll be doing a draft, and in pack 2, you'll know you're playing blue-red, and you'll open a good blue-red card, and when that pack comes back around the table, the blue-red card is gone, so you know somebody else took it to try and play blue-red, and that's always oh, man, maybe I put somebody into blue-red. Whereas if you had passed just a good blue card, maybe they are in blue-green and you don't get quite as cut off or something like that. It's kind of that sort of thing. But obviously it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen when you pass cards. I just thought this was a really interesting theory. and I wanted to share it, as I said before. That is going to do it for this video, the first episode of Draft Theory. I'm going to be hopefully able to cover all sorts of cool topics. Whenever I see something interesting, I would like to be able to share it with you in this type of series. And so let me know if you did enjoy it. Like the video, comment with your questions, subscribe for more. Let me know any interesting draft theories you have. And if you did make it all the way to the end of the video, leave hashtag 2>1 to let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video. That's going to do it for this one, though. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time.